So, Miss Veronica, shall we begin the chat?
Why not?
What do you want to talk about?
I want to
talk about archery, maybe.
Why would we talk about archery? Let's talk about anarchy.
So, what drew you to archery initially?
What drew me to archery was that I was making adjustments in my life and making improvements in my life. And I was always attracted to things that were different. I loved that. I felt like it gave me character and gave me a sense of self. And so I saw archery. I cannot remember where I saw it. And I said, yes, I don't know anybody doing this. Is great. I'll go along. There was a beginner's course. And then, yeah, I did that and I was feeling it. I said, yeah, okay. Didn't know how I was going to afford a bow or anything like that. So I said, just like that, take one step at a time. We'll get there.
And do you remember the first time holding a bow? What was that for you?
Yeah.
That was it instantly you where you were like, yeah, no, this is...
When I was able to shoot it and it hit the target, I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely elated. It was brilliant. That feeling, I will never forget that feeling. And it's not just me. Other archers will say that to you too. They'll remember the first time, their first shot. And then I was like, I can do anything now. If I can actually do this, I can do anything.
And how long are you shooting?
Coming on 3 years now.
And did you just start off at a traditional kind of recurve and you've...
Yeah, I just stayed at that because it's what I knew. And just trying to master that. I wanted to master a bow. I didn't want to be bringing in different types of bows yet. I just wanted to get confident in it. And there was a time when I thought that I can't do this. My coach keeps correcting things and saying you should do it this way, and I just couldn't get my head around it. It was the ADHD as well, so there's too much information. I was very overwhelmed, and so I said, there's no way I can do this. This is too much for me. And I was all about at that stage just having non-stress, no stress in my life, just doing things that I could manage myself, and this was getting to be too much. So that was fine, and I said, right, one last effort with this now. So I approached Owen, who was in the club as well, and I said, look, would you mind doing a one-to-one on the coaching? And my God, he was so enthusiastic. He was so good at what he did. He was so forgiving and so patient and went over and above that I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I can do this. And he was so encouraging the whole time.
Yeah. Did you play other sports before or do other sports before archery?
I did hockey and basketball and volleyball and what else?
And why did you not stay with those?
I did roller derby for a while as well. And, I got about 3 concussions. But yeah, too many injuries there.
Yeah.
As in head injuries.
Yeah.
I tend to do that. I tend to go all in on one thing. And then, okay, the excitement for that is over. So move on to the next thing.
But your whole journey with archery, when did you realise that it was something that you were going to stick with and it was more than just a fad?
When I thought about coaching and I thought I could do this, when I'm saying things to other people, they're responding, they're welcoming my views, and people think I know what I'm talking about. And when you can see people getting better because of something you say, it might only be a mental break that you do. You take them aside and you say, listen, take a breath. It's okay. Start from A, go to B. It's all you have to do. And sometimes when people come into club and they're after a full day's work and they're up there and their head is buzzing and everything, and you just say to them, it's okay. Take a minute. They step off the line and then they're like, yeah, that's all I needed. I just needed to breathe, and it makes all the difference. That's why I think your mental state, I believe, is at least 80% of how your shot will go.
Has archery taught you anything about patience and focus?
Oh my God. Yes, definitely. Tolerance would be a good word to put on it. Tolerance for other people, other personalities, having patience, knowing that even form can be different from person to person, and it's okay. In the beginner's course, you learn your fundamentals, you learn your stance and your KSL cycle. But after that, each person will find their own form. They'll find what works for them, and then you make it work for them too. If they can't find, you don't mind when somebody maybe forgets to follow through, you can just say, come on, follow through. And, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So
That's one thing I never do.
And
I literally release and it's there.
Makes such a difference to your shot.
Every time I've tried it, like I've just been, no, that is weird. I don't like that. So
Really?
I literally just release and it's just grand.
But do you hit the target?
Yeah.
Does it go where you want it to go?
I've no idea where I'm shooting half the time. I'm just shooting at stuff.
I can never see the target.
That's the thing. I shoot and I'm like, where is that? I need to get some of Arthur's little flashy knocks.
Yeah. Bringing instinctual archery to a whole new level when you can't see them. Yeah, I'm now an instinctual.
But that's part of why I throw up some cards or I put it like the bottle there so I can see better.
Focus as well.
Yeah. And like with the cards, I just work on the grouping around the cards or that kind of thing rather than hitting the cards.
Yeah.
Do you think the follow through is like essential?
Yeah, try keep saying it.
We shall disagree on that soon.
But I'll compromise with you insofar as if that works for somebody, that they don't follow through after them trying to do it and everything else, and they're hitting where they want to hit and they're happy, then that's okay. Ideally, you want it to be one move. It's all based on martial arts. The beginning of archery was initially martial arts, and it was all about Zen, and you're one with the arrow. And so the whole movement, the whole cycle is meant to be one fluid movement, you know, especially the follow through. When you come to anchor and you release, you don't just stop there. It's one fluid movement. I know listeners can't see that now, but I'm actually doing the actions.
She's reenacting the video for Wuthering Heights by Kate Bush.
Running through the moors barefoot.
So speaking of Kate Bush and fabulous woman that she is, woman to woman.
Yes, darling.
Women in archery. What unique things do you think women in archery face that men don't?
You know what?
And half the listeners turn off here.
I was very surprised. Colleen Moore, she was explaining in the coaching course about the difficulty that women face when they hit menopause, actually. They feel differently, they'll shoot differently, their whole physique will change, the way they need to approach a shot needs to be different. So as a coach, you have to realise this and be aware of this. And also in like manner, teenage girls go through their cycle, and as you probably know yourself during that time, and emotions and everything. So that's a huge part of your mental state. Again, going back to your mental state. And as I said, I believe it's 80% of how you'll perform is how you are in your head.
Has archery ever helped you through a tough time emotionally or mentally? As you eat a pink wafer, you take your time.
No.
It's all part of the service that we provide here.
To be fair, you do provide a good service. I'd recommend it to anyone.
Even the coffee.
Except the coffee.
What?
Except the coffee.
Yeah.
That's a bit dodgy. Yeah. Anyway. Yes. So I was telling you how I started, and then I was feeling a bit overwhelmed, and then I approached Dawn and did from one-to-one coaching, and then I go out to shoot and I'd be doing it all wrong. And I'm a very good coach, don't get me wrong. But so then I thought, I'll just forget this. I'm never going to be as good as the ones that are out there when they go to the woods, and I'm never going to be at that level at all. And what am I going to do then? I don't know. I'll just leave it to them. They're better than me. I'll just leave it to them. That was that. And so I was listening to Neil Keeble, who I'd never met, and Owen was interviewing him on a podcast. And he started archery the same time as me. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know if he was like some European professional champion or something like that lived in Switzerland. I didn't know. I just started listening to this anyway. And this guy was like so positive and so normal and so I can do anything. And the next thing I found out that he started the same time as me, and I started thinking, if he can do it, there's nothing stopping me from doing it. So I flipped 180 at that stage, and I just went, yeah, look, definitely, I'm back in the game, definitely. So I hold Neil Keeble in very high regard, and he's an old oat as well. So then that put me, was that coming up to summertime then? And I'm a regular at a coffee shop in Portlaoise that I work from because I'm an editor, so I can take my work anywhere and I like to go. in and put in the earphones and just edit away at my own pace. But then I meet people coming in and out, and sure, Owen said to me one day, do you want to meet up and grab a coffee? And I said, sure, come over to me and we'll have a coffee and shoot the breeze. So he said, oh yeah, I'm on the way up to meet with people about, I'm thinking of starting an archery club. And I was like, oh my God, because I wasn't really enthusiastic about it for a little while. And even after hearing that podcast, so I was like, oh yeah. And he goes, look, it mightn't happen. I was like, okay, what's happening? And he said, oh, I must check out a few things and I'll be back. So I said, I'll meet you back here next Monday. And so we started thinking about where we could do it. Now, he's the man with all the contacts. So he was great. He networked. He found people who would facilitate. People have been exceptionally good with support. We just couldn't have done it otherwise. And we always take the approach that we presume nobody's going to help. So we panic a bit and go, we'll organise this tournament or whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, why not? And he's So I said, look, come on, we'll get everybody in, it'll be great. Yeah, that's how things started moving. And I don't think we knew the level of the nitty gritty. The idea, the concept is brilliant. And we thought, okay, finding a venue, right? We finally got that. We're like, phew, that's great, we got that. Then it was equipment. Then it was all these little things. And as things were presenting themselves, we were just getting them over them one at a time.
Yeah.
And that was fine. And then I think we were absolutely blessed by our first beginners course and our second beginners course. Such decent people, really down to earth. And we decided to come up with a set of morals that would be a guide so that we'd have respect for all members. We'd have equality for all members. This is a given anyway, but unfortunately, people don't adhere to this generally. So like I didn't want any slights or sexual innuendo, or because where does it end? Look, I'm not a stick in the mud, but it can get uncomfortable for other people. And if you don't call a halt on things like that, so we didn't want any of that. So we decided to have zero tolerance on that kind of stuff. And that's how we're keeping it, I think. And if people don't like that, then it isn't the club for you. I'd like to get a few more coaches on board, people training as I'd like to see members trained to be coaches, because I think they get the good out of it. Everybody there really loves when the club progresses. We can all see it being nurtured and growing and people getting better and offering support. So I think, as you said in one of the episodes, episode 2, was that nobody there would tell you to sod off. Absolutely not. We'd say, oh my God, what's happening? Come on, show me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Not because we have to, but because we want to.
There's an episode that I haven't edited yet, but it's a future one where I talk about when I was playing rugby and the first club that I went to. It's not the same as yours, but I remember watching a TV program and there was a woman and she was very outside of the age range you would expect to be playing rugby.
Okay.
She was like near her 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, why am I not doing this? If that lady can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I went to one of the supposedly best clubs in Temple Oak.
Okay.
It was like walking into Mean Girls. And I remember their coach at one stage taking me aside and being like, you're too fat, you're this, you have to do that and that. And me at the time, I was like really just vulnerable. And I remember starting to cry and he was just like, oh, for Christ's sake, and this is why you can't talk to women. And I was just like,
oh, wow.
Do you know what? I don't want to be in this fucking club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can play. And I don't want to be anywhere near you people. They're toxic as hell.
This is it.
So I went up to another club and 90% of them were actually really lovely people and really accepting.
You always want to get the odd one anyway. Look, that's just life.
Like the one who told me when we were at a barbecue and I was eating a burger and she was like, you don't need that. So me being me, I went out and got another one and sat there in her face eating and I was like, you can fuck off. But the thing about my whole point, and I think I hopefully made it in the other episode as well, is Strongbow is nothing like that.
Oh,
you could come in and you could be dressed as a clown. Please Please don't ever do that, by the way, because I'm terrified of clowns.
Okay. No, yourself, dress as a clown.
No, never. Please, I'll freak out.
Get everybody else to dress as a clown as well.
That's how we get her out of the club. Yeah, but like you could come in dressed as a clown, speaking in tongues, whatever the hell. And everybody be like, yeah, hey. And if you come in and you're having a Scorpio day, have a Scorpio day.
Yeah, you could have had a bad day at work, and that's my style of coaching tends to be that I sit back, I observe, and if I see something, I'll approach somebody and I'll say, look, you know where I am if you want me. Or I might take them aside and deal with the mental side of things, gently approach. So we've got a good mix going on there. But simply because I could never manage when somebody would be up behind me going, do it this way, show me how you're doing it. And I just needed to get my shit together myself, find my form, make mistakes with my form and improve them. But I needed the space and the time to do that. So I come from the point of view of people don't like them to be crowding, or members don't like to be crowded. So they can go to, we're 3 different types of coaching. I like to nurture the spirit of the person. And I think that's as important.
I'm definitely somebody, I've said it a million times, who's really bloody competitive, and I push myself a bit too much sometimes, to the point where at the end of the thing I can't stand up properly and everything else. But I remember distinctly, because you've said it a few times, but I remember the first time you said it to me, and you were like, just take a break. You just stop, and I was just like,
it's okay.
But I can't
take a break,
and I can't stop. I have to keep going.
Yeah.
And I think you could see it in my face where I was kind of like, oh no, I don't know how to do that though.
Your facial expressions were just changed.
And you were just like, just have a break for a few minutes kind of thing. And then I was like, so it's okay to have a break then.
Yeah, I think we're too hard on ourselves. And it's actually very interesting to see. It's nearly a common theme through a few people. I think especially women I've noticed as a coach, that they're way too hard on themselves. They push themselves way too hard. They try and do everything and get it perfect because maybe in life that's what they're juggling and they have to master everything because so many people or things depend on them, that I've noticed that some people just, it's women essentially, whereas the men are a bit more forgiving of themselves. They're like, yeah, okay.
But do you think that's maybe because the women are kind of like, I have to be as good as the man?
No, personally, I don't think so. No, I think it's pressure they put on themselves because that's what life dictates.
And do you think that archery empowers women differently than it might do other sports, or other sports might do? The English is good today.
From my personal perspective, I do feel like it's sport that you're as good as the next person in your own way. So there's not even a distinction from where I'm coming from of men and women and they're better at one thing and they do things a little differently, but I think women don't feel like they have to keep up or not keep up, or that there's any major competition between male and female per se. So I think it's very equal. Could be wrong, but that's my perception of it. Like,
I think when we all pick up a bow, we all turn into this, we have another kind of personality. The type of archery that you practice now, how have you evolved to that?
Oh, Jesus, I haven't. How have I evolved to that? You know what it is? I have recognised that archery is a journey. It's a process. I thought you go into the beginner's course and you come out at the end of it and you're like,
done.
What's that? Yeah, what's that film with the girl is in it with the bow and arrow?
Oh, the Mockingjay. No.
Hunger Games. People probably shouting at it, shouting at the internet. I don't know. But yeah, I was fully convinced I'd come. Not a bother. That's exactly what I'd be doing. Not 100. So, I was very disappointed when that didn't happen. Big time. And there was once or twice I did take a step back because I knew if I kept going with that train of thought, I would just self-destruct.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I do love it. There are a lot of aspects of archery I do love, but there's a couple of cons that are just, so I'll see if I can just go with the pros. But yeah, how my shooting style has evolved is trial and error, and it's been a personal journey, big time. As I said, I have to step back, but then I come back with the new mindset and I'll shoot and I'll go back to remembering the basics. And there was a little while there that I was just shooting when I'd go out to the woods, just shooting and look at it hit the target, happy days. If it didn't, it doesn't matter, I'm not looking for a medal anyway. But this was consistent. So in fairness, you'll always get the lovely archers. I was on, it's not a team, I was in a group with Arthur from Limerick. And he's very competent archer and he's been doing it a long time. So he said to me, look, at the very, like nearly at the very end, he said, look, why don't you try? When you go home or whatever, just practice going right back to the basics, shooting from short distance and maybe shoot bunnies and get your aim and get familiar with your gapping or whatever else it was. And now he shoots compound, but that's okay.
Once again, listeners, those are people who cheat.
Dark side.
Cheaters.
I find that the archery is a great community that way.
Yeah.
He had nothing in common with me. I was a beginner. He was something like 15 years doing this, and he was shooting compound. And he didn't butt in straight away when I was just all over the place. He didn't. He let me do my thing, and he just offered a bit of advice afterwards that way. And I keep going back to that. And now as a coach, that's what I will tell people when they're having some trouble. I'll say, go back to basics. It worked for me. And you start again, and then you develop from there, rather than coming from a complete disaster and just trying to perfect it when you just can't. You need to stop and restart. And that's okay. But archery, it's the gift, the curse that keeps on giving. It does. It's a constant challenge. It depends where you are in your life. If your head's not in the game, you're going to shoot crap. But if you're really focused and determined, there's nothing as sweeter as hitting your target, not by fluke, but doing it time and time again. Oh man, oh, that is such a sweet feeling. I love it. And that's what you keep going back for. It's nearly an addiction.
Yeah.
And then when you see people getting better, beginners practicing, getting better, getting their first medal, going out to shoots, meeting the community. Oh, it's a great feeling. You love it because you see the happiness that they're getting from it as well. Yeah, I think of it more as a community than, but I definitely think that there is room for women in archery that we could do workshops and things like that, specifically for women, to help them to get the best out of archery, to maybe put things in place. And I definitely think that the community should be aware of it and make allowances for it. And that's okay. And we'd have a good flow then.
Allowances in what way?
As I said before, hormones or menopause or time of life, and that includes teenage girls and older women, and even in between, let me tell you, just life in general. I think women, as I said already, just carry more of a mental load. It doesn't matter if you have family or not, because if you don't have family, there's other things going on. Pets can be family, their responsibility. So I'm not talking specifically about women who have a family to work and bring the kids here, there and everywhere. Women across the board, I think, put a lot on themselves. And you know why? Because they're capable of doing it. But unfortunately, we push ourselves too far. And that's why it's really important to have some grounding. Take time for yourself. Ground. You will be a better person. It's better to sometimes we don't, it's not enough to take a breath. It's like putting a plaster over something. And it's not going to fully heal. But all this negativity and everything, it's of no benefit whatsoever. That's why I've noticed that when we're putting out positivity all the way, it affects other people in a good way. And then you're at peace with yourself, and then that would affect your archery as well. And if it's only that you're forgiving on yourself that you're not hitting the target. I was going into I have to win medals, I have to win medals. This is what the end game is, winning a medal, getting up on that podium. And now I'm not. I nearly don't want to, because for myself, that'll set a standard for me that, I need to better that now, next time I need to better that. But just personally, my journey would be, it's okay, just go out and have fun and meet some people. And this is something that I'm interested in. I want to learn. There is so much to learn. You never stop learning in archery, whether it's the technical side of things or just people, personalities, forms, what works for them, what doesn't work. You'd see people who take an approach very, I would say, call it an engineering approach, very tactical and all that. And it's great. And I'm envious of that. Whereas I would have a million thoughts and one approaching a target. And that's what fucks you up. So then you have to be forgiving on yourself and just go, meh, just go through your form. And if it works and if it doesn't, but it's okay.
As someone who is neurodiverse, how do you think archery has benefited you? Or has it?
It has, insofar as it offers a constant challenge. which is something that I am always chasing. It's different than what I would normally do in life. It's completely different and it's mine. So that's great, because I'm not, usually in other aspects of my life, one thing leads into another. They're all connected and it's all, ugh. This is completely separate, all mine. Nobody else is involved in my life in this, only the archery community. And it's lovely. It's a way of getting away from the humdrum and the mainstream of life and responsibilities and all that kind of stuff as well. And the question was, how does my neurodiversity
I can't even remember the bloody question now.
How does
do you think
archery
it benefits
affect the benefit?
Is there?
Oh
do you
God,
think
I
it has
don't
helped
know.
with kind of?
The one thing I will tell you is that I've definitely met a hell of a lot of other people that are neurodivergent as well.
Yeah.
And that's made me feel more at ease with myself. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay not to be able to form a sentence. It's okay to do something stupid. That's just the way my brain works. It's grand. I just accept. You may accept it as well. And that's the way it is. And so I'm doing this despite, usually I would stop if I wasn't fitting in or something like that in a sport. But because I see other people making the same, I don't want to say mistakes, but
when you go and shoot though, like if you're in the hall, do you find that it switches it off? Do you find that it amps it up?
I tune everything out. I feel very powerful. I'm in charge of this bow. This bow is my weapon. I feel like I get a surge of power, that I'm invincible. I get this bubble around me that is just me and the target. There's nobody else. So it doesn't bother me if people are watching. It doesn't. And I do what I'll do, and that's that. And I presume that it's going to hit the target. And that's that. And if it doesn't, the next one will. And the next one will. Maybe the next one will.
Or maybe the target moves slightly,
Oh,
and that's what we're going to say. The target is
dodgy
now.
targets. Yeah, but because you cannot, your last shot, if it's a bad shot, you cannot focus or wallow in that. It's going to be awful otherwise if you do that. You just move on to the next one and leave the past in the past.
Like when Owen and I were talking, again, it's an upcoming episode, because I've decided I'm going to slot yours in sooner. He was saying that he doesn't leave it in the hall.
What do you mean
he takes it home with him and he thinks about it and he's
analyzes it?
Yeah, whereas I leave it in the hall.
I think of it as a hobby.
Yeah, the only time I didn't was that mess the other week in the forest. That stuck with me for about a week, where I was just raging.
Tell you what, it only stuck with you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Normally it wouldn't. I like, because I leave it in the hall or I leave it wherever. I'm like, I'm in the car, I'm leaving now.
Yeah, kind of compartmentalize. You have to survive, otherwise you'll
drive yourself mad.
Like. Yeah, you'll be so hard on yourself if you focused on every single fault or everything. So what? People actually don't care. They don't. They're worried about their own mistakes. Mm-hmm. You couldn't be worrying about what people think. People will always judge you.
But this, I think, a lot of what you come into archery with is learn from other not very accepting areas of your life, and you go in with this preconception that it's going to be the same way. Because I think part of the reason that leave it in the hole, and part of the reason that I really just love going there and just I'm still doing it, is because nobody gives a shit.
Yes.
And in the nicest way possible. Because obviously people care.
Yeah.
If I'm shooting and it's gone way over there, and why is it stuck in the net over in the left when I was shooting straight ahead?
Nobody whispers in the corner going, oh, look at your one.
It's more kind of, oh, fair play to you.
We probably start cheering or something. Yeah, she got the net.
But it makes a huge difference. And especially,
really does,
as I was saying to Owen again, with rejection sensitivity dysphoria, if you go into a place and there's that kind of vibe and you're just like, oh my God, and everybody's this and blah, 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 and I'm not doing this, it can ruin the whole thing for you.
I just really want to focus on the mental side of things with archery, because I feel like nobody listens to me when I'm there going, listen to me. It's really important when you come in, first stretch, or if you know you're going to be coming to club that night, do a couple of little stretches, just like that. Now, just do it, just so you don't kill yourself when you get in there, because it's quite physical. And if you're anyway stressed, you put a lot of tension on your muscles. I must get on top of that now. stand in front of the line and go, listen, bitches, you fucking stretch. It's for your own good. Yeah, and the beginners are starting to go out to the woods and all the rest of it, which I wonder if you would be able to tell me as a beginner, when you did your beginner's course, did you find it very tedious and very kind of book learning, for want of a better term? When then we were saying, look, you get out during the shooting season all summer, it's going to be epic, you just need to get your form sorted. But I felt like you didn't understand that because you hadn't experienced it. You know what I mean? The importance of getting form and honing your skills. The ultimate thing then is going out doing competitions. And
Did I find that tedious?
did you find just coming in every week into the club just to learn a new set of instructions to what end goal?
No, see, the thing is, I'd never had an end goal.
Okay.
Like for me,
What did you
it was
think was going to happen at the end? Like for me, I was like thinking I was going to be the next best thing.
no, for me, like when I did my first class and I didn't get bullseyes, I was like,
calm down,
I
calm down.
know. I was just like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
Because I have to be the best and this is not happening. But okay, I'm going to go back. And I've said it a few times. There's something about archery that I'm sticking with it. And that has very rarely happened with things in my life.
Same.
If I'm not the best, if I don't get it straight away, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Same.
But I kept going back and people were talking about, like, I was getting pissed off with shooting so close all the time. But then I was looking back at videos that Mal took and I'm holding the bow and I'm like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's not talk about how that ripples when you let go. But anyway, she says holding her bingo wings. Like, you know, the progression, I don't think I shake as much now. I was shaking the other day.
You're building the strength up. And if you've taken any bit of a gap, I find myself as well having taken a gap from shooting that, oh God, I'm the same. I'm back now. But I'm forgiving of myself. It's okay. I know I'll build it up. I have to practice, and a lot goes down to practice.
The class thing, like I was getting pissed off with the shooting, but I knew there was an end goal. And as I was doing it, I was okay, how do I want to go with this? Do I want to just come up and do shooting, or do I want to do competitions, or do I want to do this, or do I, like, I was working through it basically as we were going along. So I knew that there was obviously a reason for it.
Yeah. Did you find that, did it change you?
Yeah.
I find I'm a lot more disciplined, that if I want to do this properly, I have to follow a set of rules. And as you know as well, having ADHD is just, you've ADD, is it?
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
apparently
order.
it's ADHD inattentive now, but I just call it ADD because that's what I was diagnosed with at the time.
So I love order, love it. I love when there's an A, B, C, and I know the order to follow and there's boundaries and all that.
But at the same time, I hate that.
But then I hate that. When it suits me, I like it. But then I love scribbling outside the lines. Just why not? So it's constant battle and conflict and everything. So the archery there's a set of rules, but there's wiggle room. When you find your own form that's uniquely yours, that's nice. That's a nice feeling.
I constantly do stuff just to push to see what I can do. Like I started shooting rounds of 12 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm going to try that. I do think for somebody with ADD, it's a really good sport. And
there's no winners and losers. It's not black and white. If you want to chase medals,
I think that's why it's such an accepting sport, because there are so many divisions, there's so many different things on
categories.
It's not, you know, with rugby, I was a tight head prop up the front, whatever.
That was my position, and that was it. You had one job.
Yeah.
Whatever, like.
My job was to hit people and hurt them and get them out of the way.
Nice.
I didn't have the stamina for it, unfortunately, but like,
yeah.
Yeah, but with archery, it's just like, you just get on with it.
There's a lot of wiggle room. Even age isn't a factor.
No.
Perfectly fine. I do find with the young
archers,
people, young archers, young children, they don't overthink it. That's how they're so bloody good.
They don't, yeah.
They don't overthink. They go, oh, okay. Yeah, honestly. They don't overthink it.
But that's what Michelle was saying the other day. She was, and it is true, if you just do it, it's always a lot better. And then you suddenly, because you're an adult, you stop and you kind of go, hang on. And then once you start thinking about it, it's gone to shite.
Got 100 different factors creeping in there. So now I'll go into the history of it. Not so much the history as you have your traditional archers. The bulk of these archers loved the old ways. They love the craft. They love the craft of an arrow and the time that goes into it. It's not even the shot at the end of the day. It's the time and the love and the care and the precision that goes into making bows and arrows and strings. And it's amazing. It's so technical that it's a labor of love. And I think from my perspective, it's how these people back in medieval times did this. Now I know that's all they knew, but I think that they were looking at skeletons from back in the medieval times, and their whole physique was completely different than what we have now.
Yeah.
Because from day one, this is the way they were trained. This was the mentality, going back to mentality again, all of that, the skill and the craft that just came second nature to them. And if we can capture that again, even a little bit of it, I think that's where the tradition of archery comes in there. Whereas I do understand, I know we're messing going in saying that it's the dark side to go to compound because everything's easy and you've gadgets. It's not. It's actually not. Yeah, make sure you edit that bit out, okay? It's very difficult. And it is a skill to master that as well.
It's just another evolution of it.
And going into archery and you find all these people who are well into it, like proper into it. If you wanted, as you said earlier on, if you wanted to come to club, our club anyway, and dress in traditional gear, it wouldn't be a costume. It's like a mark of respect for our ancestors. A lot of people like myself are into going back into our own family history and seeing where we came from. Because for me, it gives a better sense of self, of who I am and where I came from. Now, some people just, it doesn't float their boat, and that's fine. But for me, I'm 100% Celtic, so I like doing what my ancestors did. I like the strength of my ancestors and where they come from, and I like to think that I'm honing all of that energy from somewhere, and that the spirits come to me of my ancestors and help me along, and I really do feel they have. What's if you manifest enough, you'll believe anything, but if that helps me, then that's cool. So that's where I'd be coming from with the whole history of it. Just really, really interested in history anyway, passionate about it. But I was just surprised to discover that other archers as well are as mental into history as what I am. So that's great. It's not just about archery or shooting. There's other elements.
The thing though, with this one, with archery, I've not deep dived into it. I haven't got hyper fixated on it.
Have you not?
No.
I get hyper fixated on
don't
everything.
know why, but I am also proud that I haven't.
Yeah.
Because I could easily have burnt it all out by now. When I got my bow, I was terrified.
Yeah.
Because this is so real. We're doing it. This is actually
I know.
it now.
And you don't want to self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Oh my God. Awful.
I can't believe I'm after sticking it out this long. I think when I became chairperson as well, I was like, I have to stay now. This is it. And then I'd be like, all right, I'll just manage the club for a while, just until we're up on our feet, and that'll be grand. Then I can step down. It's fine. But then the more I was hearing about what we wanted to bring to the table and everything, I was like, yes, I want to manage this. I want to put it out there, help out with ideas, support, everything. Literally, what have we got to lose?
Exactly.
This was like the lifeboat for me.
Yeah.
I was like, if this didn't happen, I was just going to leave it. It's the principles really that I'd like to get out there. And not just the principles on paper or in theory, but by example. When our club goes to shoots, that we have respect for other people, that the members know that they're representing this, to me, sacred club, that we've put time and effort into and made huge sacrifices for to make this work. So I want us to represent a fun, cool, chill club that has respect for everybody, that can help treat others as you would like to be treated. It's as simple as that. And oh God, you're always going to get people It's just everybody's different. This world would be great if there was no people in it. It's like the woods would be great if there was no trees. I remember going out to my first shoot and it was like, oh my God, the trees in the way.
I know,
Seriously.
I had this
it was so
tiny
stupid.
margin once, and I was like, why? What the hell is this?
Yeah. And I was like, do they know they're after setting up this shot like where there's trees in the way?
Yeah, if I stand over here, it's better. Can I stand over here?
Right?
Like, no.
That wrecked my head for a while. But then I saw it as a challenge to overcome. So yeah, that's good. I just love archery. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. There's always a challenge, whether it's personal or the actual sport itself, or there's so much to learn. There's so many different aspects of it. There's so many opportunities. It's unreal. It's great.
So people who might be listening to this, who may be considering taking up archery and they're really not sure.
Oh my God, go for it. Try it out. If you don't like it, it's okay. Walk away. If you do like it, stay around for the crack anyway. What do you got to lose? Give it a go.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No
I
problem.
hope you had fun.
We did.
Anything else you want to say before we end?
No.
No. Okay, thank you.